Ladies and gentlemen, there is a power, greater than talent, greater than luck, that separates those who rise from those who merely exist. It is the power of acting as if nothing affects you, not because you are numb, but because you refuse to let the world dictate your state of mind. Every day life will test you, people will doubt you, circumstances will challenge you, but here is the secret. None of these things have power over you unless you surrender it. The moment you react with anger, fear, or insecurity, you hand over your strength. But when you stand unmoved, you become unstoppable. Think of the oak tree in a storm. It does not fight the wind, it bends slightly, then stands tall once more. It does not complain, it does not fear. It simply is, and in that stillness it outlasts the tempest. This is the discipline of the mind. When others panic, you remain calm. When others doubt, you proceed with certainty. When criticism comes, you let it pass like wind through an open window, because you decide what enters your mind and what does not. The world rewards those who cannot be shaken. Opportunities flow to those who project unbreakable confidence. Success is not just about skill. It is about mental sovereignty, the ability to say, no external force will dictate my focus, my energy, or my belief in myself. So I challenge you, act as if nothing affects you. Not as a mask, but as a mastery. When failure comes, act as if it is temporary. When pressure mounts, act as if you thrive under it. When doubters speak, act as if their words hold no weight, because here is the truth, they don't. The moment you embody this principle, you will notice a shift. People will mirror your confidence. Obstacles will shrink before your persistence, and you will realize the greatest power you possess, the power to remain unbothered in a world that tries to shake everyone. Now go forth, steady, unmoved, and unstoppable. Act as if nothing affects you, and soon nothing will. The ability to master your emotions is not about suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It's about commanding them rather than letting them command you. Emotions are powerful forces. They can fuel your greatest achievements or destroy your focus in an instant. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle often comes down to one critical skill: emotional discipline. Think of a ship in a storm. The waves crash, the wind howls, but the captain does not panic. He adjusts the sails, steers with precision, and keeps the vessel on course. He doesn't control the storm. He controls his response to it. That is mastery. In your life, chaos will come. People will provoke you. Situations will test you. But if you react impulsively, with anger, fear, or frustration, you surrender your power. The moment you let emotions dictate your actions, you lose. True strength is not in never feeling, but in choosing how you respond to what you feel. The most dangerous person in the room is not the one who shouts the loudest. It's the one who remains silent, calculating, unmoved by petty provocations. When you master your emotions, you gain an unshakable advantage. You think clearly when others are blinded by rage or fear. You make decisions from logic, not impulse. You project confidence because you are not easily shaken. This is not about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about harnessing emotion, using passion as fuel, not letting it burn you. Frustration can either paralyze you or push you to work harder. Fear can either stop you or sharpen your instincts. The choice is always yours. Every time you refuse to let external forces dictate your internal state, you grow stronger. Every time you respond with calm instead of chaos, you train your mind to operate from a place of power. And when you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. People begin to see you differently. They sense your control. They respect your composure. They cannot manipulate you because they cannot reach you. Master your emotions, and you master your destiny. Let the world rage, let doubters whisper, let obstacles rise. you remain steady, because when nothing affects you, everything falls before you. The world does not shape you. Your perception of the world does. Two people can face the exact same circumstance. One sees an insurmountable barrier, the other sees an opportunity. The difference is not in the event itself, but in the lens through which it is viewed. Your reality is not fixed. It is fluid, molded by how you choose to interpret what happens to you. Consider this: failure is never just failure unless you label it so. A setback to one person is a lesson to another. Criticism is either poison or fuel. It depends entirely on what you decide to do with it. The moment you realize that nothing has inherent meaning except the meaning you assign to it, you unlock a profound truth. You are not a prisoner of circumstance. You are the architect of your experience. Most people live reactively, allowing external forces to dictate their inner world. Someone insults them, and they crumble. A plan fails, and they surrender. But those who understand the power of perception operate differently. They know that events are neutral. It is the mind that colors them. When you shift your perception, you shift your reality. A challenge becomes a test of skill. A rival becomes a teacher. Rejection becomes redirection. This is not mere optimism. It is strategic thinking. The greatest leaders, innovators, and warriors in history did not possess magical circumstances. They possessed a disciplined way of seeing. They trained themselves to find advantage where others saw only lack. When others saw a desert, they saw untapped resources. When others saw a closed door, they looked for the open window. Your perception dictates your focus, and your focus dictates your results. If you perceive yourself as a victim, you will act like one. If you perceive yourself as unstoppable, you will move accordingly. The world reflects back what you project. Change your perception, and you change your trajectory. So ask yourself, what am I choosing to see? Because what you see is what you get. The same event that breaks one person can launch another to greatness, not because the event changed, but because the perception did. Master this, and you master the game. The world bends to those who know how to look at it. In a world addicted to noise, to constant reaction, instant opinions, and knee-jerk defenses, there is unmatched power in silence. Not the silence of weakness, but the calculated stillness of a mind that cannot be rattled. When you refuse to engage in every battle, you reveal a rare form of strength, the ability to let chaos exhaust itself while you remain untouched. Think of the chess master who never reveals his strategy through unnecessary moves, or the lion that watches the hyenas bark, knowing their noise means nothing. Reaction is instinct, restraint is mastery. Most people hand over their power by needing to have the last word, to prove themselves in the moment, to seek validation through argument. But true authority doesn't plead its case. It commands by presence alone. Silence is not passive. It is a deliberate weapon. When you stay quiet in the face of provocation, you force the other side to confront themselves. Insecurity thrives on engagement. When you deny it that, it collapses under its own weight. The angrier someone gets at your calm, the more they reveal their own instability. Meanwhile, you lose nothing. Your energy remains intact. Your position grows stronger simply because you didn't stoop. There is also power in the silence between actions. The world fears the man who moves without warning, who doesn't telegraph his next play. People waste energy announcing plans, seeking approval, or defending intentions. But those who operate in quiet certainty don't need to explain. They act, and by the time others realize what's happening, the game is already won. Words are currencies. Bend them recklessly, and you devalue them. But when you speak sparingly, each word carries weight. A single sentence after hours of silence lands like a hammer. A look can do more than a rant. A pause can unsettle an opponent more than any comeback. So let the world scream. Let fools mistake your silence for surrender. While they exhaust themselves in noise, you are already 3 steps ahead. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of untapped power. And those who understand this don't just win battles, they redefine the war. Most people live under a grand delusion that they can control the world around them. They exhaust themselves trying to manipulate outcomes, force people to behave a certain way, and bend reality to their will. But here's the truth they refuse to see. Control is an illusion. The only thing you truly command is your response. The moment you waste energy fighting what you cannot change, you've already lost. Think of a river. You can't stop its flow, but you can learn to navigate its currents. Stubborn resistance leads to drowning. Adaptability leads to mastery. The same applies to life. You can't control market crashes, other people's actions, or unexpected disasters. But you can control your preparation, your mindset, and your next move. That's where real power lies. Observe those who thrive in chaos. They don't operate under the naive belief that they can prevent storms. Instead, they build unshakable inner foundations so that when storms come, and they always do, they remain standing while others are swept away. They focus not on controlling external events, but on controlling themselves. Their discipline, their focus, their emotional resilience, these are the only things that can't be taken from them. The irony, the more you chase control over everything, the less you have. But when you release the obsession with micromanaging life, you gain something far greater, command over your own existence. You stop being a puppet to circumstance and become the architect of your fate. So let go of what you can't change. Direct your energy where it actually matters. Your decisions, your reactions, your relentless forward motion. That's how you turn the illusion of control into the reality of unstoppable progress. Mental discipline is the invisible hand that shapes destiny, the quiet force that separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. It's not about brute willpower, but the consistent application of focused thought, like a sculptor chiseling marble day after day until the masterpiece emerges. Most minds are battlegrounds of distraction, swayed by every passing impulse, enslaved by comfort and instant gratification. But the disciplined mind operates differently. It sees past the noise, remains anchored to purpose, and treats every thought as either a tool or an obstacle. Consider this. Every great achievement was first a single thought held with such intensity that it crowded out doubt. The athlete doesn't become champion by training only when motivated. They train when exhausted, when bored, when no one is watching. The writer doesn't produce classics by waiting for inspiration. They show up daily and wrestle words into submission. Mental discipline isn't glamorous. It's the unseen grind, the private victories over laziness, fear, and distraction that compound into public triumph. Weak minds are ruled by moods. Strong minds command them. When fatigue whispers quit, discipline replies continue. When doubt mutters you can't, discipline thunders watch me. This is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, not through sporadic effort, but through the ritual of relentless focus. They don't negotiate with weakness. They don't entertain excuses. They act regardless of how they feel, because discipline is the antidote to dependency on motivation, on perfect conditions, on external validation. The battlefield is your mind. Every minute you're either reinforcing discipline or feeding chaos. Skip the workout and you strengthen laziness. Waste hours scrolling and you train distraction. But choose the harder path, the focused work, the delayed gratification, the uncomfortable growth, and you forge something unbreakable. Mental discipline isn't a trait you're born with. It's a skill sharpened through daily decisions until what was once difficult becomes instinct. Master this, and you master yourself. And when you master yourself, the world has no choice but to yield. The so-called law of attraction is often misunderstood as mere wishful thinking, as if desires materialize simply by dreaming them. But the truth is far more powerful and far less mystical. Your mind operates like a magnet, not because the universe magically obeys your thoughts, but because your dominant focus dictates your actions, opportunities, and ultimately, your reality. What you consistently dwell on shapes what you notice, what you pursue, and what you become. Think of two people walking through the same city. One sees only obstacles, high rents, competition, scarcity. The other sees potential, untapped markets, connections waiting to be made, problems begging for solutions. Both are right, yet their realities diverge completely based on what they choose to focus on. This isn't magic, it's selective perception. Your brain is wired to seek evidence for what you already believe. Expect failure and you'll find it. Expect opportunity and suddenly it appears everywhere, but here's where most fail. They confuse attraction with passive waiting. Real attraction is active alignment, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions all point in the same direction. Want success? Then your daily habits must match that desire. Want respect? Then carry yourself as someone worthy of it. The world responds to those who emit certainty through their being, not just their wishing. Energy flows where attention goes. Obsess over lack, and you amplify it. Fixate on growth, and doors open. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about strategic focus. The entrepreneur who visualizes, deals while studying markets and refining pitches isn't manifesting. They're creating conditions for success through relentless alignment. The athlete who sees victory while grinding through pre-dawn workouts isn't hoping. They are programming their nervous system for triumph. The true law is this: you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Complainers draw more to complain about. Victors find victory everywhere. Change your inner narrative, and the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back. Stop begging the universe. Start becoming the kind of force that commands results, and watch reality rearrange itself around your certainty. Fear is not your enemy, it's your compass. The things that frighten you most are often the very experiences that hold the keys to your growth. But here's the truth most never grasp. Fear only controls you if you obey it. Every moment you face a choice: to let fear dictate your limits or to treat it as fuel. The difference between those who live constrained lives and those who break barriers isn't the absence of fear, it's the refusal to let fear make their decisions. Consider this paradox: the more you avoid discomfort, the smaller your world becomes. Retreat from a difficult conversation and you train cowardice. Avoid risks and you guarantee mediocrity. But lean into fear, not recklessly but deliberately, and something extraordinary happens. The fear that once paralyzed you becomes the threshold to your power. Public speaking terrifies you. Do it anyway and watch your influence expand. Failure haunts you. Fail forward and discover resilience you didn't know you had. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signpost pointing toward what you need to conquer next. The greatest deception fear sells is the illusion of safety in stagnation. Stay small. It whispers, don't embarrass yourself. But real danger lies in a life half lived, in the regret of chances not taken, all because you let the ghost of what if override the truth of what could be. Courage isn't fearlessness, it's action despite fear. Every warrior, innovator, or leader you admire felt the same tremors of doubt. They simply chose to move forward while others stood still. You were not designed for cages, neither those built by others nor those you construct in your own mind. Fear will always knock at the door. Your power lies in who you let answer. Will it be the version of you that cowers, or the one that says, "I see you fear, but today I choose freedom"? That choice, repeated daily, is how ordinary people rewrite their destinies. Stop negotiating with your limits. Start choosing the fear that leads to growth over the false comfort that leads to decay. The world belongs to those who decide, unflinchingly, that their dreams matter more than their doubts. Detachment is not indifference, it's supreme focus. The ability to hold your goals with an open hand, committed to the pursuit, but never enslaved by the outcome. Most people fail not from lack of effort, but from over-attachment, to results, to timelines, to rigid expectations that shatter under life's unpredictability. True power lies in working with relentless intensity while remaining emotionally agile enough to pivot when needed. Observe nature. A river doesn't cling to its path. It flows around obstacles without losing momentum. The bamboo bends in storms, but never breaks because it refuses to fight the wind. This is the essence of mastery. Attachment creates fragility. Detachment breeds antifragility. When you stake your entire worth on one outcome, you turn a single event into a life or death verdict. But when you detach, every setback becomes data, every rejection becomes redirection, and no single loss can derail your mission. This isn't about apathy. It's about strategic sovereignty over your emotional energy. The artist who creates for the love of craft, not just applause outlasts trends. The entrepreneur focused on solving problems, not just chasing profits, builds enduring value. Detachment allows you to act from abundance rather than desperation, to negotiate from strength rather than neediness. The less you need something to happen, the more clearly you see how to make it happen. Practice this, pour your whole self into the work, then release your grip on how the world must reward you. Trust the process more than the prize. When you stop demanding life follow your script, you start seeing opportunities hidden in the detours. Detachment isn't surrender, it's the ultimate leverage. The universe favors those bold enough to want something, yet wise enough not to be destroyed if it doesn't arrive on their terms. Stay fluid, stay focused. And watch how much further you go when you're no longer carrying the weight of your own expectations. Silent confidence is the unshakable knowing that needs no announcement, the deep-rooted assurance that doesn't clamor for validation or seek to prove itself in the noise of the crowd. It's not the boastful swagger of insecurity masquerading as strength, but the quiet certainty of a lion that knows its power without needing to roar. This is the mark of true mastery, when your presence alone speaks volumes and your actions render words unnecessary. Most people confuse confidence with volume. They mistake the loudest voice in the room for the strongest, the most aggressive stance for the most capable. But history shows us otherwise. The truly formidable are often those who move in stillness, who observe more than they opine, who act decisively without fanfare. Their confidence isn't worn like armor, it's woven into their being. They don't announce their competence, they demonstrate it. They don't demand respect. They command it effortlessly through the weight of their execution. Silent confidence thrives on a paradox. The less you need to convince others, the more they're compelled by you. When you cease seeking external approval, you radiate an authenticity that can't be faked. People sense it. the absence of desperation, the presence of self-containment. It disarms challengers and attracts allies without manipulation. Why? Because true confidence isn't something you project. It's something you are. It's the natural byproduct of preparation meeting purpose, of skills honed to sharpness through unseen labor. Cultivate this and you'll notice a shift. Where others scramble to justify their worth, you'll operate from a place of unspoken authority. Where they exhaust themselves performing, you'll conserve energy for what matters. The loudest minds are often the most fragile, like empty barrels making the most noise. But silent confidence, that's the steel beneath the velvet. It doesn't react, it responds. It doesn't compete, it transcends. And in a world addicted to showmanship, it remains the ultimate advantage. Because while everyone else is shouting to be heard, you'll already have been understood. Persistence is the quiet force that outlasts every obstacle, the relentless forward motion that treats resistance not as a stop sign, but as terrain to be crossed. Most people see barriers as proof they should quit, when in reality, those barriers are the universe testing how badly you want what you claim to desire. Resistance isn't your enemy, it's your training ground. The moment you understand this, you stop fighting the struggle and start using it to forge unbreakable resolve. Think of a river carving through rock. It doesn't stop because the stone is hard. It persists, drop by drop, until the obstacle becomes a pathway. That's the essence of real perseverance. It's not about blind force, but about consistent pressure applied in one direction over time. The world rewards those who refuse to abandon the pursuit, not because luck favors them, but because their persistence exhausts all other possibilities until only success remains. Weakness asks, "Why is this happening to me?" Persistence declares, "This is happening for me, to make me stronger, sharper, harder to break." Every rejection, every delay, every moment of friction isn't blocking your path, it's preparing you to hold what you're chasing. The weightlifter doesn't grow muscles by lifting air. They grow by overcoming resistance. Your dreams operate the same way. The secret isn't avoiding the struggle. It's embracing it as proof you're moving towards something worthwhile. Comfort zones don't expand on their own. They're stretched by repeated effort in the face of discomfort. When others quit at the first sign of difficulty, you continue. When they take resistance as a verdict, you treat it as a question. How badly do I want this? And with every step forward, your answer becomes clearer, not in words, but in the unshakable momentum of your actions. Persistence isn't glamorous. It's waking up and doing the work when no one's watching, when results aren't immediate, when doubt screams loudest. But here's what resistance doesn't want you to know. Every ounce of effort compounds. Every refusal to quit banks resilience. And one day, when others marvel at your overnight success, only you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck or talent that got you there. It was the decision, made daily, to persist long after resistance told you to stop. So let this be your creed moving forward. Act as if nothing affects you. Until nothing does, the world will test you, people will doubt you, and circumstances will resist you. But remember, storms do not last forever, and neither do setbacks. What endures is your resolve, your discipline, your refusal to be moved by anything outside your purpose. Master your emotions, and fear loses its grip. Command your perception, and obstacles become opportunities. Embrace silence, and let your results speak louder than words. Detach from outcomes, and you'll find freedom in the pursuit itself. Persist when others quit, and you'll claim what they only dreamed of. The most powerful force in existence is a mind that cannot be shaken, a spirit that cannot be broken, and a will that treats every no as fuel for the next yes. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop reacting to distractions. Become the unstoppable force that bends reality to your will, not by force, but by unwavering consistency. Now go. The world is waiting to see what happens when someone like you decides nothing will stop them. What happens next is up to you.